Hello everyone. So today I'm finally going to be showing you the very first prototype of the drum carder that I've been working on. The point of this video is actually to collect some feedback on certain directions that the community would like me to go so that I can better to decide on sort of what features to include and which ones not to, which will affect the price. So I'm targeting a price of probably $300 to $450 depending on what features you want. That's kind of the lowest priced you can find out there for carders that are a lot smaller than this, and it's a lot better price than most carders out there. Also, if you look at electric carders, then there's nothing, even in that kind of range at all. But let's talk a little bit about how it works right now. So here's the motor, drives this larger drum, which is called the Swift. This smaller drum is then driven at a slower speed via this gearing on this drive belt. So that's called the Licker. And out here we have a loading plate. I mean, obviously I'll have to add some features like little guides to sort of keep the fiber from getting too close to the edges and things, which I'll definitely be doing. But I'll probably change this guide thing to magnets just because that works pretty well. But in the very first prototype, I just made it something you can slide in, and then it's got that little lip on the bottom that sort of holds it in place via a clipping mechanism. It does have a handle too, so you can turn it manually like this. And you can see that the Licker does spin at, I forget what the ratio is right now. I think it's 4 to 1 or something, maybe 3 to 1. But right now it's a fixed ratio based on the sides of the pulleys. And I'll get into that a little bit more later. Also, there is a speed control here, so we can turn up the speed. And I don't know what the final speeding will be because I haven't figured out the gearing, but this is already faster than most people would hang crank it. It'll load fiber via the Licker and then put it onto the larger drum. The distance between the Licker and the Swift are controlled by this portion. There's just 4 large Phillips screws that I'll include a screwdriver, and you can shift this back and forth in just a few seconds. Right now it's set to be very far apart, but it can be made closer to the point where it's actually touching, which you need almost for certain fibers. And then there's this I forgot what that's called, but basically it's a brush to sort of push down fibers like this. So that's pretty much an overview of how it's currently working. There's a lot of little things that I'm going to be adjusting and making better as I iterate on the prototypes, but there's a few big things that I have questions about, and I'm hoping you can help me with those in the poll. So for a drive system right now, I have the simplest solution possible, where you just have one belt and you cross it over so that they're both, you have this belt crossing so that both of the drums go in the right direction. Now, if there is a slight downside to this crossing of belts, but I don't think it matters too much in my experimentation, but I haven't experimented a lot here. Certainly, I'm open to feedback on this, but if I don't want to cross these belts, what I have to do is I have to put 2 pulleys, one up here and one down here, and then I run the belt over those pulleys and back around this way, and then I can get the Licker and the Swift drums to spin in the right direction without this cross. So in my poll, I'm going to ask I'm going to say the cheapest solution is kind of what I have here, and then another drive solution is where I add those pulleys. And then a third iteration, which is a little more expensive again, is to offer a few different versions of this gearing ratio between here and here. And that would let you adjust the ratio of the large drum to the small drum, which is important for certain types of carding. Basically, you have to do a few extra passes if you don't have adjustable ratios, or you have to be very careful about how you feed it in. So when you're blending fibers, I don't know how important that is to people though. So I'd like to get some feedback on how important those adjustable ratios are. And then the fourth drive option is to have this drum and this drum driven by separate motors. And then that inside the electronics, you could completely configure the ratios. So I'd probably have two different dials, one to sort of control the overall speed, and then one to increase or decrease the ratio. So that would give you the most configurability, but it also comes at an increase in cost. So I'm kind of interested in seeing what of those 4 drive options the community thinks I should go with. Another question is about the motors. So right now I'm just driving it with the same motor that I used for the electric EOWheel 6. It's the 6.1. It's a brushless motor and very reliable, has a very long run life. That's sort of a very quiet, very long-running motor, but I could go with a much lower cost brushed motor and it would have about the same amount of power, but it would only last about 1,000 hours of runtime. So I'm kind of curious what people think I should do there. Should I try to push the cost down with runtimes, of the motor lasting about 1,000 hours, or keep the current motor, which is rated for about 10,000 hours? And again, that's just a thing about upfront cost. I mean, I'd always sell replacement motors, so either option's not gonna leave you without a motor eventually. It just means like how often might you have to replace something like that. So the next question I'm asking is about the actual cloth here. So this is sort of a medium grade cloth. It's 72 teeth per inch. So 72 of these little wires here on every inch, or every square inch. And that's kind of considered a medium cloth. And I have, coarser than that. I could get coarser than that made and finer and like extra fine. But each one of those cloths is a lot of tooling for me to set up. So I really want to figure out, hopefully just 2 cloths that'll work for most people. But in the poll, provide feedback on which kind of cloth is most interesting to you, if you have a preference. I don't have anything about it in the poll. Right now I'm just using the same carding cloth for the liquor, but my plan is to get some custom cloth for the liquor. I've seen some people use like straight wires up here, which is sort of a smaller adaptation of this kind of cloth. Or I've seen like these little kind of they're shorter and they kind of grab into the cloth a little bit more. But they're not made out of wire. It's more of like this jig-jaggy, wave-shaped metal design. I don't know how to describe it exactly. But I'm open to feedback on types of liquor cloth you would like to see. I've certainly got a plan myself, but if people have any feedback on types of liquor cloth, or if you can maybe email me photos of things you've really liked in the past, that would be something that I would definitely take some time to look at. Another question I have is about the carding cloth on this main drum. So right now it's sort of tucked under sort of lips in the plastic, and that's not going to be good enough. I have to come up with something better than that. If you pull really hard, I don't think I can do it with one hand, but I can get the cloth to come out, and that's not acceptable long term. But I do think it would be interesting if you could use this drum and change the cloth. So I figure if I get something like that and it works pretty well, it'll have to work really well, but if I get it working, it would maybe take 15, 20 minutes to change the cloth, and it would be a little fussy to change the cloth, get into it under these plastic ridges and things. But it's a lot cheaper and easier to ship just a piece of carding cloth rather than an entire drum. However, if people think that I should just offer fully assembled drums that, a little more expensive but much faster, you could probably change that in it's just 4 little screws in here. You have to take off this pulley, but that would take, maybe 2 minutes or something instead of 20 minutes. And there would be, it'd be much more straightforward, but a little more expensive. And it would also take up more room, both for shipping and storage. So I would like to hear in the poll which of those options you prefer. And the last question is pretty straightforward. It's just like, would you use the electric power or the hand power more often? I'm thinking of doing a situation, especially if I change to 2 motors, where instead of using this handle, there would be sort of like this round thing that you would use to sort of spin it by hand, and it wouldn't be quite as easy to turn around with your hand like this. But you know, if most people aren't using their hands most of the time anyways to turn the drums, then it would take up a lot less space and probably look a little better. But definitely looking for feedback on all of those. Maybe I'll add a few more questions after I sit down and think about it a little more. Also, there'll be a spot for you to give me any other general feedback on drum carters and what you like or don't like about them, and you know, just any ideas you have that might help me make a better drum carter, because I'm going to read through all of that poll information and use it to influence the next prototype, which will be the first one that's probably fully functional. And I'll definitely share a video when I get to that stage. But for now, I hope this was interesting, sort of showing you where I'm at with this. And I look forward to all your feedback. Thanks for watching.